Welcome to the Biohacking Beauty podcast, the top-ranking anti-aging skincare podcast, brought to you by Young Goose, the world's first biohacking skincare company, a company that is devoted to unlocking the youthful state of your skin at the cellular level, ensuring real and lasting results. I'm your host and CEO of Young Goose, Amitay, and my aim is to simplify the journey to youthful skin aging. In each episode, we'll provide you with expert strategies to help you biohack beauty and reverse the biological clock for both your skin and your body. So get ready to discover a more youthful and rejuvenated version of yourself. Today, I am super excited. It's going to be an episode that I will be talking to you alone, and we're going to be uncovering a hidden gem in the world of anti-aging and beauty. So, if you would, I'd like you to imagine a world where aging isn't just slowed down, but done so gracefully, where your skin not only retains its youthful vigor, but does so naturally. And I know it sounds like, to some people, it sounds like a pipe dream. But what if I told you that this isn't just a fantasy, but a possibility that's been hiding, but really hiding in plain sight in our cells and even in our dinner plate? So today, I'll be talking about maybe the most exciting molecule as far as the application of that dream, which is this episode's going to be all about spermidine. So I know we've recorded a podcast with Don Moxley from Spermidine Life, but I felt, and you'll understand why later on in this episode, I felt like it deserves even one more episode. So, what is exactly spermidine? Spermidine is a naturally occurring compound that's really creating waves in the longevity and biohacking community. Specifically, by the way, in Europe. In Europe, I know most people know Young Goose, for example, as the NAD boosting skincare company. But because most people know about NAD, since I'm assuming, well, we know that most of our listeners are from within the United States. But in Central Europe, for example, spermidine is the star of the longevity supplements or anti-aging supplements. So it has been making waves in the community. And the reason is its remarkable potential in rejuvenating hair, skin, nails, as far as the very apparent results of it, but also promoting longevity basically in every cell of your body. And one of the amazing things about spermidine, and we're going to dive more into it in today's episode, it's the fact that it affects all hallmarks of aging. So between 9 to 12 actually hallmarks of aging. It depends how far you want to extrapolate its effects and its results. But that is something that is unrivaled today in our landscape, in the let's say longevity molecule landscape, something that you can take and affects basically all of the names that we gave the different aging verticals. So what exactly is spermidine? So the name itself might make you do a double take, since there's obviously a wink at sperm, and we're going to get to why. But it's more than just an unusual name. It's actually a key player in a process in our body, in our cells, in a process that is called autophagy. And autophagy, by the way, is derived from Greek. It's autophagia, which means self eating. And really think of it, autophagy, think of it as the body's recycling mechanism, your body's way of cleaning out damaged, old, subpar as far as functioning cells in order to use that recycled material to regenerate newer, healthier ones, which is just take a second and think about it as a process, as its importance to the human body, to human cells, or to any cells, by the way. This is a cornerstone of life, of biology. Our ability, again, I know a lot of the times I give an example of a factory. Well, our cells really are a factory. They have information and they actually create something with that information. Imagine a factory that wouldn't be able to um, clean its waste. A factory that every time there is a waste product is just going to throw it on the floor. Ask yourself how long, if you had a factory and you made clothes, if you made whatever that is, cars, how long can you function as a factory until your employees won't be able to walk around? And now imagine that this factory, instead of throwing things on the ground, would be able to take any waste material almost and create energy which would sustain that factory. This is really the incredible regenerative power of autophagy and specifically of spermidine. And we're going to get to how spermidine does that. So, cleaning out damaged cells to regenerate newer, healthier ones. This isn't just good news for your overall health, it's actually groundbreaking for your skin. We're talking about not only skin health and resilience. Yeah, we're talking about longevity, how well we're going to look in the future. We're talking about the skin being able to stave off some of the damage that we incur from the environment, UV and stuff like that, but also a significant impact on reducing wrinkles, enhancing skin hydration, and maybe, just maybe, turning back the clock on how your skin ages and actually reversing that. So, buckle up as we embark on a fascinating journey to uncover the secrets of spermidine. And we'll dive into the science. We're going to debunk some myths. And most importantly, I feel we're going to explore how you can harness this power for your skin's health and beauty, and obviously overall health. Well, in the world of biohacking and longevity, we often come across compounds that promise a lot but deliver little. Recently there's an incredible woman in the UK. Her name is Isamaya French. She's done many things, but she's also the face of Burberry. She designed Burberry makeup line. And Isamaya French just had a post a few days ago about the difference between what were promised by aesthetics professionals as far as before and afters they post and stuff like that, and the reality. I'm not saying obviously as a whole, but I'm saying that a lot of the times, as an expert, she was saying, playing with light can remove or add 10 years to your skin. Well, that also exists with every other facet of longevity and biohacking. And we can fudge a lot of data, and we can, kind of, there are a lot of biases also, subconscious biases that drive spokespeople and people with interest in specific molecules to kind of focus on the positive and the extraordinary and not on the mean and the average. Today, though, we're exploring a spermidine, which is a compound that in my eyes, doesn't only promises a whole lot, but also has the scientific backing to be a complete game changer in the way we approach aging and skincare. So let's dive deep into the science of spermidine first. So first off, what exactly is spermidine? So despite its quirky name, Spermidine is a polyamine compound. You know what? I'm going to start by, and that's something, by the way, that if anyone listened to my podcast with Don Moxley, he tells this story. So I'm not going to go into crazy detail, but Anthony van Leeuwenhoek, the person who invented the microscope, as any man, as Don Moxley says, as any man, immediately ran and looked at semen under the microscope and found this incredible compound, which he called spermidine, named after sperm. And spermidine is a polyamine compound, which means it's a part of a group of molecules that play a crucial role in cellular function. And in our body, it actually is a part of a movement throughout the polyamine cycle. It means that there, when I say spermidine, it is the end results, exactly like NAD. We say NAD, 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 NAD. But at the end of the day, NAD is just one phase in a process that includes niacin, B3 vitamins, niacin, niacinamide, nicotinamide, which is the same thing, by the way, NR, nicotinamide riboside, NMN, nicotinamide adenine nicotinamide mononucleotide, and some other ones like tryptophan, or 1-MNA, for example. So this is so when we say NAD, for example, we just mean something that is kind of the end results of those things and a usable form. But it's important for us to support that entire chain, and that's why, for example, with Young Goose, we use the precursors of NAD, NR, and NMN, which are the most effective at affecting the overall NAD levels in the body and in the skin. Same thing with spermidine. When I say spermidine, it's important to not to zero in on spermidine, the molecule on its own, but rather boosting spermidine in the body by using a broad spectrum polyamine complex that has putrescine, spermidine, and spermine, and there are some esoteric ones, but these are the main three. I do want to, you know what, I'm going to talk about a little bit about that later, but for now, it is a part of a group of molecules that play a crucial role in cellular function. It is naturally occurring in our body, and it is also found in various foods. But here's the kicker. Spermidine has been linked to promoting autophagy, as I said before. It is a process where cells cleanse themselves of damaged components, a bit like self-detox, which then they can utilize to some extent to revamp themselves, or to build or recycle them into new components, which then they can use. So it's really this quintessential rejuvenation process in the body, and a cornerstone of longevity research and application is to target supporting that process. For example, when we talk about intermittent fasting or water fasting in the context of longevity, we are talking about igniting and supporting the process of autophagy. This is why we're interested in it in the context of longevity, optimal health optimization, etc. So a little bit about studies. It also is important to understand where studies are published. And studies showing the incredible effects of spermidine, again, as a complex, as a function in the body, these are published in publications like Nature and Cell magazines, which are really the most important magazines in the industry. And these studies have shown that spermidine can enhance this autophagy process, thereby potentially increasing cell longevity. This means it could be a vital, I mean, it could be a vital player, and it itself can be vital to slowing down the aging process, but not only superficially, but right down at to the core, to our cellular function. So I'll give you an example. Growth hormone, for example, increasing growth hormone can indeed show improvement in slowing down and reversing the aging process. But this is a superficial function looking at hallmarks, which means if we look at the different aging clocks that we have, as imperfect as they are, we won't see a change there. The person would be younger, but is still aging in the background, and this process is not sustainable. Whereas spermidine really turns our cells into younger cells. Now, how can we optimize spermidine in our body? The answer lies in both supplementation and diet, which I alluded to earlier. So, foods like algae, aged cheese, mushrooms, and whole grains are rich in spermidine. However, the bioavailability, that is how much your body can actually use spermidine, varies. So incorporating a variety of these foods in your diet could be key to maximizing the benefits of spermidine. And I'm not taking sides here. I'm not saying if whole grains are healthy, if algae is full of heavy metals, if you should eat cheese or not. That is not what I'm saying. Or I don't know if anyone has grievance against mushrooms, but let's assume they don't. Um, I'm not saying eat this. I'm saying this is where it's found. If it is congruent with your lifestyle choices, this is where you can find it, and make sure you do it in the best way, in the most clean way possible. But incorporating a variety of these foods is your best strategy to to maximize the benefits of spermidine. Um, as far as diet is concerned, um, the what I would say is that with the way that as we've talked about in other contexts, the problem is in our Western world is that our food is depleted of nutrients, and like other nutrients, also spermidine compounds complexes are becoming more and more um, scarce and more depleted, and it's quite challenging to sustain healthy levels or optimal levels of spermidine in by just by diet. And that is why to really to really use that process for longevity and anti-aging, we want to supplement on spermidine. And again, I highly recommend the episode with Don Moxley. Um, Moving on to what everyone's curious about, the benefits for skin health and appearance. So the same autophagic process boosted by spermidine is a cornerstone of skin cell renewal and repair. Emerging research, for example, indicates that spermidine may help in reducing the appearance of wrinkles, improving skin hydration, and even enhancing skin elasticity. Essentially, it's not just about looking younger, but having healthier skin cells that are more resilient to the aging process. And that is something that I don't think, since most of the time I interview other people on this podcast, that is something that I am not. If you listen to me talk about skin health in other podcasts, I talk about what I'm going to say right now way more than I talk about it here. And that is the holy trinity of cellular performance, which is optimal performance, resilience, or general health, I'd call it, but resilience and lifespan and longevity. Okay. And they are not synonymous. So optimal performance could be something like Brian Johnson is doing right now with his skin, where every month even more than that, he does radio frequency and lasers and all of that stuff. That would, when I say optimal performance, that would be um, looking your best right now, but it has very little to do, and that is at some sense that is a part of youth, but it's mainly you looking younger or your skin performing at a high level right now. You can imagine like redlining your skin. If we think about translation to other giving examples on other processes in life, imagine a professional athlete that obviously at his peak of his career, which is like 30 or 25, they're incredible. No other person on the planet can compete with them. But by the time they get to 40 or 50, they need to start replacing every joint in their body. And that is because they've um, prioritized ultimate performance. Um, Resilience, obviously, if we just prioritize resilience and we train towards resilience, we won't be able to redline our body, okay, because actually it makes you more frail. Um, and on the other hand, so let's think about it. Let's think about sauna or ice bath. Ice bath is a great example because ice bath trains resilience, but it does not make you so if you are under the weather, an ice bath is not a great idea. By the way, same thing with hyperbaric oxygen therapy. Same thing with I'm sure we can think about more examples, but um, resilience is a process, is still stress induced, and resilience is still a process that you can get wrong, and you need to sacrifice your optimal performance and sometimes longevity. For example, if we train our gut to be resilient to E. coli, for example, we raise CD38, which is the culprit in one of the major players in lowering NAD in our body. Okay, so there is a give and a take there as well. And we can see Wim Hof, for example. Obviously, the guy is incredible. He doesn't look great. His skin optimal performance isn't the best for his age, right? But this guy can, fight off E. coli injected into his blood and climb Mount Everest with his shorts and no shoes. And then there's obviously longevity, and longevity means skin longevity would mean that we don't expose our skin to lasers, to peels, to even some milder things, but so we won't never have this optimal performance, but our skin can basically be, if we lived to 200 years old, it's not going to be as frail as someone who prioritized, like for example Brian Johnson prioritized rejuvenation, constant rejuvenation. And by the way, we see the opposite of that when we look at medical grade skincare apologies like Zoe, like Obagi, um, that really emphasize glycolic acid. We see people that use them for 20, 30 years have a much more frail skin, thin, that tends to get damaged, rather than someone that prioritizes resilience or longevity. Okay, so um, having said that, Spermidine is an incredible player because it actually boosts all three. So it's looking younger, having healthier skin cells, and being more resilient, and increasing the longevity of your skin, not of skin cells, because they renew. Their lifespan is finite, but the longevity of the skin is an organ. Now, with the science of spermidine fresh in our mind after this tangent I went down, let's shift gears and get practical. So, how can we harness the power of this fascinating compound in our everyday lives? How can we challenge how can we channel the the research that's been done on spermidine into something practical? So and make science really work, because sometimes it is challenging. So first up, let's talk about getting spermidine into your daily routine. Remember, it is found in foods like aged cheese, algae. And for example, Brian Johnson takes algae every day for that reason. We also had um, energy bits on this podcast because technically, because of that, we didn't talk a lot about spermidine, but the idea was finding whole foods that have spermidine. But it's not just about eating these foods, as I mentioned before. Um, it's also about um, basically about supplementation because even if you had mushroom stir fry every dinner and ate algae as part of your lunch, unfortunately, along many other micronutrients, spermidine levels in foods these days have declined rapidly. So making spermidine supplements almost crucial in order to get a significant amount of spermidine. And if we want to optimize, how can we, in other words, how can we boost the effects of spermidine? Interestingly, certain lifestyle habits can complement its benefits. So I mentioned in the beginning that it is intermittent fasting or fasting mimetic. So, for example, intermittent fasting, it's not just a trend. Fasting can enhance autophagy, the very process that spermidine triggers. So, let's not forget that this has direct implications on the skin because even though we want to target autophagy, and that's something important to understand about biohacking. So biohacking is taking something like fasting, where we have these amazing benefits, but there is a very, very, very delicate dance we have to dance in order to maintain to kind of get the results that we want because autophagy is incredible, but when we fast, we lose fat and we lose volume and not to equate, but obviously now with a lot of people taking GLP-1 agonists, we're seeing something called Ozempic face or Ozempic butt. And the funny thing is people think it's because Ozempic. No, it's because people have drastic weight loss, and they're nutrient deficient to some extent. So that is what happens. So spermidine, with the delicate dance of fasting and intermittent fasting, is the perfect combination in order to really spice up this incredible process that is programmed within us. And let's not forget about skincare routines. So pairing a diet rich in spermidine, pairing supplementation with a skincare routine that includes topically available spermidine can amplify the benefits for your skin. And just so happened, we are launching the world's first skincare products to contain Celvio, which is a topically bioavailable spermidine developed by Spermidine Life. Um, we are launching that in partnership with Spermidine Life on January 30th. It's going to be available on our website on January 30th. So make sure you are subscribed to our newsletter and follow us on social media for more information about that. And if you are, because a lot of people who listen to this podcast are VIPs, and to be completely honest, since our team this kind of has set the algorithm of who a VIP is, I'm not sure exactly what it means, but VIPs do get early access to these products. So be on the lookout for that and make sure you read our newsletters um, because this is extremely exciting. Um, so let's bring to life some of that some anecdotes about it. So I've come across anecdotes of individuals who've seen noticeable changes in their skin's health after incorporating spermidine into their lives. There is a wonderful person from Slovenia, Magdalena, who is a prominent person in the biohacking community in Europe that for years have been taking spermidine life capsules and kind of mixing them into her skincare. And this is a very rudimentary way to do it and very expensive um, to get enough spermidine for your skin there. But and it is not optimized for skin absorption, but it looks incredible, and she swears by it. There's also the case of a 50-year-old woman that after 6 months of a spermidine rich diet and supplementation reported a noticeable reduction in fine lines and improved skin hydration. And there are now 8 studies that, again, in very, very, very prominent magazines, highlighting groups of individuals who experienced enhanced skin elasticity and texture and recovery. So whether it is post operation, post something like microneedling, post air travel, etc. It is incredible. So they experienced it. Some of them it was topical, some of them it was through supplementation, but we're seeing incredible results, especially the combination of the two, and many more animal studies. These stories, again, aren't just inspiring, they're a testament to the potential of real world benefits of this compound. And we're beyond excited to be the first company to introduce spermidine into skincare. And again, I know we were the first ones. We get a lot of credit to being the first ones who kind of introduce NAD precursors into skincare. But we've introduced also other compounds that most people don't talk about, like ectoin, um, like NRF 1 and 2 activators. So we love doing that. We love introducing a new compound, but never in this in the lives of Young Goose, whether it is as a research facility for the first 7 years or as a retail product for the last 3-4 years. We've never been so excited and feel privileged to start this trend in the world. And exactly like NAD, exactly like other compounds like ectoin, you can find ectoin in anything from um, Alastin, the brand that you can get in every esthetician's office, to skincare lines that are based strictly on ectoin. You can see it everywhere now. We know, for as a matter of fact, that two enormously huge companies, two of the biggest companies in the field of skincare, are looking into both NAD and spermidine formulations. So we're really privileged to be the first ones who do it, and to kind of push the world in this direction. And that is our calling in the world, not to try to corner the market, but to try to move the market in a way where we feel you as a consumer is going to benefit either from us, or if you for whatever reason don't like our products, maybe I annoy you specifically, you can get it eventually somewhere else. I don't know, probably in 5 years, 10 years. But so today we haven't only looked into the what and why of spermidine, but also the how. Um, it's it really is about taking the science and making it actionable, making it a part of your journey towards enhanced health and beauty. And really remember, the key is consistency and integration into your lifestyle. And indeed, some of the most prominent experts in the field are heavily invested, both in as far as their own personal health and as far as their financial health. They're invested in spermidine research. Obviously, I'll give one example, which is known, so I don't need to mince words. Which is David Sinclair, Harvard professor, the Harvard Medical School professor for longevity. David Sinclair obviously is known for introducing to the world molecules like resveratrol and NMN. And David includes spermidine in his daily supplement regimen. He takes 1 milligram of spermidine each morning alongside other supplements like resveratrol and NMN. And if you remember from my podcast with Don Moxley, there is a synthetic version of spermidine, which is only spermidine, no other compounds, and a full spectrum spermidine that companies like Longevity Labs make, like Primidine is another brand by Leslie, forget her last name. They also make it if you're in Europe. You might know Primidine. If you're here in the UK or Germany and Austria, you might, and Switzerland, you might know Spermidine Life. Um, but yeah, David takes this. So he takes 1 milligram of full spectrum polyamine compound. So what we call full spectrum spermidine complex. So spermidine is known for its ability to induce autophagy, essentially acting, as I said, as a cellular recycling process. So it's suggested that um, spermidine can in the body as a supplement can improve cardiovascular health, strengthen the body's defenses against cancer, mitigate brain inflammation and anxiety, and decrease liver aging. And that is David's words as far as like why he is taking it. Sinclair also is working with Longevity Labs, which is a company that we are partnered with to introduce spermidine into skincare. So the compound that we use, which is called Celvio spermidine, which again has all of these, let's say, precursors and postcursors to spermidine. He's on the board and he works with them as far as research. So it's obviously indicating his active interest and belief in its potential benefits for anti-aging and longevity. So spermidine is part of David Sinclair's approach to promoting cellular autophagy and supporting healthy neuronal function, which are key aspects of his research on aging and longevity. So he deals a lot with brain regeneration, neuronal function and regeneration, and that's part of what he's interested in as far as spermidine. Daily supplementation of spermidine is considered beneficial, as I said, for overall health, but also for brain health. I do want to again maybe hammer home before I kind of talk, talk about some of the other things that I wanted to talk about. I do want to talk about that full spectrum remark. I'll equate it to, I have equated it already to NAD and its precursors. As we know, NAD on its own doesn't really do anything in the body, or it does very little because the body can't use it as an active material. But in general, in our body, as a rule, 99.9% of the things that enter the body in a certain way are not used in the body in that way. So, it's a biohacking beauty podcast. Let's talk about collagen. Collagen is broken down to its essential to its basic amino acids, and then it's utilized in different ways. Some of those are to recreate collagen, but it could be other things. Um, Obviously, if we have more of those building blocks, the body is going to have an easier time building collagen. So there is direct relationship, but it's not like the collagen complex is traveling in the body as a complex and being deposited where we need it, or where we don't want to have don't want to have skin aging. And that is across the board the way that the body works. And spermidine is no different. So what we're going to see in the next few years in the industry, whether it is through IVs, whether it is through supplementation, I bet also through topicals, is going to be synthetic versions of spermidine that only have spermidine. They don't have spermine. They don't have other polyamines, putrescine, and some other ones. We make, for example, one from bergamot. Okay, so it's not going to have those, and it means that there's not going to be an entourage effect. Think of CBD, for example. CBD is a perfect example to a molecule like that, or a molecule that doesn't exist in a vacuum, where CBD isolate, which means a synthetic, process that only presents CBD as a lone molecule, is 10 times weaker then the same concentration together with the natural molecules that surround it as an extract. So if we have 100 milligrams of CBD isolate, it's going to behave like 10 milligrams of CBD full spectrum. Okay, remember that also when you buy CBD. Um, that's why I support companies like Element CBD, because it's full spectrum, so you're getting more for your money. That's a side tangent, but the same thing is we're seeing with spermidine. We need the entire full spectrum complex and not only a single spermidine ingredient. We need the entire polyamine complex. As with any topic in the realm of biohacking and beauty, it's crucial, for me at least, to address the other side of the coin, which is the concerns, the misconceptions, and the potential downsides. So misconceptions, like I did now, but also some potential downsides. Today, since we're tackling the objections, or we're tackling spermidine, I would like to tackle the objections and contraindications related to spermidine. So let's look at some of those, with a balanced perspective, bringing in some opinions and knowledge from experts and research in the field. So one common misconception about spermidine is that it's a cure-all for aging, because we said, hey, it affects all of the hallmarks of aging. All right, all the names of the different processes that we named for aging, so mitochondrial decline, protein misfolding, senescent cells, so on and so forth. Spermidine improves those hallmarks. But while it's promising, it's important to understand that spermidine alone is just a piece of a larger puzzle in the complex process of aging. So it cannot work in a vacuum. It's not a standalone solution, but really a complementary approach that really dramatically elevates anything else that we're doing, and really imbues a more youthful function in every level of our cells. Another misunderstanding is around the name spermidine. So while spermidine may raise eyebrows, remember it's simply a scientific term for a type of compound, and it has no relation to its function or source. So when you buy a spermidine supplement or apply spermidine on your face, or do supplement spermidine IVs or suppositories, they are not made out of semen. Um, they are made mostly out of wheat germ, which we're going to touch on in a second. So let's talk about potential side effects. So spermidine is generally considered safe, especially when consumed through natural foods or consumed, as I said, as its full spectrum polyamine complex. However, as with any supplement, there can be risk, there can be half truths, particularly when we're talking about synthetic versions that are taken in high doses. So some studies suggest that that excessive consumption of an isolate could lead to digestive issues or may interact with certain medications. And that is why, if we are doing something synthetic and extremely um, high in um, concentration, such as IV, it's crucial that we do it under a supervision of a healthcare provider, especially if you have underlying health conditions or are on medication. Remember, I said before, if you're targeting longevity or you're targeting optimal performance, you are quite certainly jeopardizing your robustness. So if you already are unhealthy, venturing into uncharted territories like very high concentrations, synthetics, IVs, is probably not the way to go. And you want to use like a full blend, full complex, or something like that. But there is a concern there, which is gluten, which we actually covered in with Don Moxley. So gluten is part of wheat, and spermidine, for the most part, is derived from wheat, and that is why sourcing is really big, because especially wheat in the U.S., GMO, etc., we're going to have more gluten and a more complex gluten profile, whereas very reputable companies such as Spermidine Life are going to have, or Primidine, for example, are going to have spermidine that is extremely low in gluten because it's from heirloom wheat, and the there is a counterbalance because spermidine is so healthy. We see that most people actually, even if they're gluten sensitive, such as myself, by the way, have no reaction to spermidine. And I actually take 3 grams. So I take triple the amount of David Sinclair, for example. So bear that in mind. As far as topical, um, our products that we're coming out with, spoiler alert, they actually do not, they have less than 20 parts per million, which is considered gluten free. Having said that, I would like everyone to know that gluten is bigger than your pore. The molecule is bigger than 500 Daltons, and you can definitely Google me on that. It's about 40 times larger, which means it actually doesn't penetrate through the skin. So anyone that, uh, avoids gluten in skincare products, I respect your choice, but it is more about a um, moral stance, because, or whatever you want to call it, because there is no biological effect when it is being applied on the skin. And you probably are exposed to gluten in the air every time you go next to a bakery or something like that. You're going to have much more reactions by inhaling it, what we call baker's lungs, than by applying it on your skin. But anyway, as we wrap up today's deep dive into the world of spermidine, let's take a moment to reflect on the key points that we've explored. So, from its fascinating role in cellular autophagy to its potential in enhancing skin health and longevity, spermidine really has emerged as a compelling component in the biohacking and beauty arsenal. We looked at the science behind spermidine, understanding its function and the process of autophagy that's crucial for cellular health and renewal. We discovered that this compound isn't just a scientific curiosity; it is a practical tool that can be integrated into our daily lives through diet and, when appropriate, supplementation. And my opinion is that in our society, we have to supplement on it. We also talked about how to optimize the benefits of spermidine with complementary lifestyle habits like intermittent fasting, prolonged fasting, water fast, and skincare routines that contain spermidine, which we're going to be the pioneers of. And we heard how experts like David Sinclair feel about it. And of course, we addressed the important considerations, the misconceptions, the need for caution in certain groups, and the importance of a balanced, well informed approach. Now, it's over to you, our listeners. So I encourage you to explore the potential of spermidine in your own life. Whether it is tweaking your diet to include more spermidine rich foods, I really highly recommend. If you're saying this is the way I want to go, take a look at the blueprint, um, which is the way that Brian Johnson approaches longevity. It's not my way, but it is a way. It really, by the way, emphasizes lifestyle wise, it emphasizes longevity out of that holy trinity. As far as what he's doing to the skin, he really emphasizes optimal performance, which is quite, I wouldn't say it's confusing, because after this explanation, I hope you understand what I'm saying, but it is confused. It is incongruent with other strategies that he's doing. And if you really want me to expand on this specifically, I'm a little, I don't want to bash anyone, and I really appreciate people who are interested in the same things that I'm interested in. But let us know in a comment or in a review on Apple Podcasts that you want me to do an episode about why I said what I said, and we'll do it. If there is interest, if you don't want to do it in a review and you want to write us a DM on Instagram or an email to customer service, you could do that. But I highly ask you to do it in a review. Again, I loved talking about Spermidine. We're very excited about Spermidine. I love Spermidine as a supplement. It's a supplement that you can see. I dare you to test that. I dare you to cut your nails, take a photo of them after a week, and then supplement with 1 gram of Spermidine a day. I recommend Spermidine Life if you're in the United States. Obviously, we put our money where our mouth is. This is a collaboration we chose. We could have chosen any company we want. There are no shortage of manufacturers of Spermidine. So I'd recommend Spermidine Life. They have a high dose one, so like Spermidine Life Plus or something like that. Take a look. Take a photo of your nails after a week of supplementing on Spermidine Life, and look at the difference. So hair, skin, and nails, significant improvement. And in general, there is a spectrum of ways to harness the benefits of Spermidine. So I highly recommend this journey, basically looking at Spermidine boosting activities and seeing the results. And we obviously would love to hear from you. So if you've tried incorporating Spermidine in your routine, have you noticed any changes in your skincare health or in your skin health, or overall well-being? Share with us your stories and your thoughts on social media, or leave a comment and a review on Apple Podcasts. Your insights not only enrich our community's knowledge, but also inspire others in their journey towards better health and beauty. Remember, the journey to biohacking beauty is ongoing, and each step you take is a step towards a healthier, more vibrant you. Until next time, I highly recommend keep exploring, keep experimenting, and that is going to guarantee you're going to keep glowing. So thank you very much. We'll see you here next time. Bye, guys.